Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, very good. So I think we can start. Before that, just let me give you some brief introduction. Again, good afternoon to everyone present here today. Uh, we also have a lot of students, and I'm sure a lot of students are going to join. Today, we are here for the webinar titled Career in Supply Chain, Building the Skill Sets That Lands the Job. And we are very fortunate that we have among us Mr. Shahabuddin Mahmud Sagir, PMP. He's a senior manager and functional head, direct import fulfillment planning, Walmart. And he has been in the industry for a long time, and he has a wealth of experience to talk about what kind of skill sets students should acquire or should try to acquire to land a job or be successful in jobs in this field. So without much ado, I would just give the spotlight to Mr. Mahmud. Uh, 1 second, if I can. Yes, I'm just going to give the spotlight. Spotlight. Okay, brilliant. Over to you, Mr. Mahmud.
Uh, thank you very much, Mr. Saad. First of all, I apologize. Actually, I'm having some difficulties in my laptop. I don't know. I separately connected from a browser, so I am having still some issues with sharing my screen. Let me check. So before I go to my slide, let me give a brief about myself. So here again, thank you, Mr. Saad, for giving me the opportunity to share my supply chain experience, and thanks for the nice introduction. Assalamu alaikum, dear participants. I hope you all are doing great and in sound spirit. I'll try to make this session as informative and engaging as possible. To start with my background, I have graduated from AIUB. I'm a proud AIUBian. However, I never considered myself as a mediocre, thinking about that I did not graduated from IB or Dhaka University. To me, where I am studying doesn't matter. How I am investing my time on personal development, that I always feel that makes the difference. And whatever I have studied in my life, try to make sure that I am the master of that domain. Well, in our time, we are not privileged much to do supply chain measuring a measure in especially during the BBA, and this was not in our university curriculum. I did my major in marketing, and 3 years after my BBA, I did MBA in operations supply chain management. And as Mr. Saad mentioned, I'm a certified project manager as well. Well, in my 15 years of career, what I have noticed, there are two type of people in supply chain. So the first kind are the one who just end up in supply chain by luck, and the second, the kind are the ones who has decided to educate themselves and also go through university for formal education and choose supply chain as career. So my experience is a bit mixed. I have seen both sides of the coin. Started my career in sales and marketing, and after 2 years, I realized that supply chain is much broader channels than any other department. Not to undermine any other discipline, rather it's my personal feeling that you can achieve recognition by fulfilling your sales target, but at the end, if your supply chain is not strong to ensure right product, right time with right quantity in efficient way to customer, ultimately your company survival will be questioned. And I found supply chain is more versatile than any other department. Well, in today's presentation, I'll cover a few topics like my supply chain journey. I'll try to highlight the importance of supply chain, various career paths in supply chain, some competencies to build the skill set that lands the job. Um, Let me share my screen first. Mm. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see them.
Okay. Give me a second, please. So, as I mentioned that I've started. Sorry. Uh, is it still visible?
No, the screen is not visible now.
Okay. I'm so sorry. I feel like
Let me check. I think there maybe I need to make you a co-host. Can you try now?
uh, can we do one thing, Mr. Saad? I think you have the PPT in PDF file. Is it possible to share the screen from your end?
Uh, okay, let me check.
Sad, Dr. Sad, make him co-host. That would be
Yes,
fine.
I
for
think
him,
if I,
because, yeah.
if I make you the co-host, I think you will be able
Then
to.
he will be able to show
Yeah,
the
you
screen.
just wait 1 second.
Yes,
Let
please.
me make you the co-host. Can you try now, please? Yeah, it's working now.
Are you seeing the PPT or any other tab?
No, we are seeing the PPT.
Okay, fine. Fine. Maybe you can. Let's start. So, as Mr. Saad just mentioned, currently I'm working in Walmart Global Sourcing and leading the demand and fulfillment planning. I'm sure that you have read a lot about Walmart in your business book. Walmart is the world #1 American multinational retail company with annual revenue of 560 billion USD and over 2.3 million employment. Each day, approximately 30 million customers and members visit approximately 11,000 of stores, clubs, and 20, which covers 24 countries, and e-commerce websites. So that means it's a huge operation built on supply chain, and we need to ensure our supply chain is working well to make sure when our customers come to store, they get the product they want. For me, I work in global sourcing, that is a sister concern of Walmart, and we don't manage a store directly. Our job is to source product originating from anywhere in the globe. Well, apart from my full-time job, I also do associated with company named Logic and Thoughts as a consultant and trainer that you can see from that deck. Going to the next slide. So I'll brief a bit about my career journey. Um, so my first job was in KDS Accessories, which is RMG-based accessories company. And I was responsible for B2B sales and marketing and new business development. Though it was sales and marketing job, but I had to deal a lot of supply chain team to ensure product to customer. And during that time, what I felt like supply chain carry the most value in our organization, and I found it's most interesting. So during that time, 2 years of my job, I started doing my MBA parallelly in operations and supply chain during that time. So it was in my mind that I need to switch my career, and it will be in supply chain. Just after finishing my MBA, I moved to my career to ACI Limited, which is one of the largest local business conglomerate. I used to support consumer foods and supply chain, and after 1 year, I promoted to support pharmaceutical business. Supply chain, which is the most challenging for me during that time, as pharmaceuticals is very sensitive business dealing with medicine and many are life-saving drugs. I still can remember that it took first few days to pronounce pharmaceuticals raw materials name like azithromycin, ciprofloxacin, etc. All through my 4 years journey in ACI, I've experienced working in demand and supply planning, foreign and local procurement, third-party manufacturing and logistics. We used to do some third-party manufacturing for some of the product. Also, I used to do some SOP development for our department. And I consider this journey as a roller coaster journey for me because I have seen a lot of ups and downs in my career, and I learned a lot from ACI. After ACI journey, I have worked few months for Godrej as a procurement lead and was responsible for managing end-to-end supply chain there for both local and import. My journey in Walmart is pretty long. I joined in Walmart 2011, and basically I'm based in Dhaka, but this is a global position, and I report to China. I have a team here in Bangladesh who also manage business globally. We manage demand and supply planning from 8 different countries across the globe to support retail market like US and Canada. And our job is to ensure time-phase demand forecasting to create supply and provide visibility to the inventory investment and product flow over time. Also, we do follow constantly and close monitoring the inventory along the supply chain to ensure retail markets are in position of optimal inventory to meet required demand. We collaborate with the retail team as well as with the origin supplier that the manufacturer in Bangladesh, Cambodia, Vietnam, China, everywhere, what we are producing with supply planning, capacity planning, and utilizing their capacity. So this is in brief of my career journey in supply chain industry. All right, so in the next slide, I'll cover a small video. Let me know if you can see it. Is it audible to all? Hello? Hello?
I can't hear it actually. I can see the video. Hello, Mr. Sagir, are you there?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, yes. Now we can hear you. I think there was some problem, technical problem.
Okay.
Please continue.
Let me share my screen again.
Yes, I think maybe you could skip the video because I think it is getting hanged or something. I'm not sure.
Can you hear the voice?
No, the video contains no sound.
We cannot hear the voice actually. We can see the video.
Okay, I think due to technical difficulties, basically this was supposed to throw direct from the Zoom as I'm using through the browser because of the technical difficulties. So basically this video I try to prepare, share based on some of experience during the recent pandemic situation, how the toilet paper shortage fall in especially the Japan, Australia, USA, UK, and different part of the world during the beginning of the last year pandemic. So what my experience from this toilet paper, I'm not sure whether you are aware about this such situation that the world is went through. So it was a supply shortage that experienced by most of the first world countries. So the analysis found that it is a complete failure of the supply chain, managing failed to meet. The first thing is that imbalancing situation of demand versus supply, which causes the bully effect, and some judgment on a stereotype from the customer, and also like some kind of distortion uh, between the consumer demands that drives into the speed, and also that creates a supply chain volatile situation. And the last was like the product mix situation that was created the most part of this shortage situation. So from that basically video, I tried to prepare one the define the supply chain from my perspective. So to my understanding from while reviewing this video on that very fine from that story. So the supply chain, what supply chain does. So supply chain basically, like just think about like when you go into the grocery store, you take the item you want, pay this to cashier, and you are done. But the reality is a lot of work had to go in making such that the product was there for you. Somebody had to forecast long time in advance so that it can ensure what to buy and when you would want to buy it. Those products came from the raw materials. They went to factories and distribution centers. They travel on trains, trucks, in this total process. So what is this supply chain is really about is it's a complex system made up of people, process, and technology that engineer and manage to deliver something that value to you. So if you can ensure this chain efficiently, the shelf or the store shelf will be ensured with optimal inventory. But any of these pieces break down, we find the shelves emptier, like the toilet paper crisis video that we missed here actually. Um, so this is about supply chain is. Let me share something about the importance of supply chain. Hello, Sir, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay, let's discuss about the supply chain importance. Supply chain is an integral part of most businesses and is essential to company success. It is estimated that company 80 to 90% costs tied up in their supply chain. And also the increased complexity of modern supply chains caused by global sourcing, omni-channel distribution give the most importance in the supply chain. So what is the first point that given the importance on supply chain? That is the boosting the customer service. Why we are saying that? The customers have become more demanding nowadays, and they are becoming more and more fickle minded. They expect the retailer or manufacturer to have a stock of what they want, or if they do not get it as per their requirement, their convenience, they move to other brand. So that is causing a sales loss. So if order items, if customer order item online, they expect prompt on-time delivery and easy return policy. Retailers and manufacturers need to ensure right product assortment, quantity be delivered, the right location and on time, and also the sales support. So many manufacturers are depending on JIT, or we call just-in-time manufacturing strategy, that requires delivery of components not only on time but also before time. So just think like you have a guest at home and you want to order some food to Food Panda to deliver the food for your lunch. Now, if they deliver it 2 hours after the lunch, do you think it will be workable? No. Same like um, customer service should not be like offering product with 50% discount through Cyclone or Dhamaka, whatever the offer they call, with the condition delivery within 45 days. But in reality, after 4 and 5 months, you are getting the product. Even sometimes the counterfeit or fake product you are receiving. So that should not be the supply chain focus, right? The second point is supply chain has, if given the effort in reducing the company's operating cost, like reduction of product holding cost. Retailers mostly depend on the supply chains to quickly deliver expensive products to avoid holding costly inventories in stores for a long time as than necessary. For example, I can share with you. Uh, Suppose Walton 6-inch a flat panel HDTV. So they have both make to order and make to stock strategy. So if they produce based on the pre-order, they do not need to hold product for long. This is a make to uh, order, right? And if they produce and stock product in store, that is a make to stock. So they need to, for the first part, they do not need to think about, because they are doing it based on the pre-order part. And once the product produced, they're delivering to their customers. But for the make to stock, they need to make sure it doesn't require to hold for long time in their authorized dealer or the store, because the holding product in the outlet or shelf means blocking the money. So they need to do forecasting, demand and fulfillment planning such a way that makes sure that optimal inventory in the store. Supply chain also helps decreasing the production cost. I can take this as an example, share with you. Suppose you are a producer of denim jeans pant and you have a shipment on next month, 20th June. And now you see that unexpected one product like the Jeeper, which is an imported product, has got delay, and you didn't have any buffer stock or safety stock to support this, and that could lead to delay of entire production. And at the end, what happening is like you are not going to meet the 20th June shipment date, and your retailer, your buyer is asking for penalty because this product is supposed to arrive to support the summer shipment or the Christmas shipment, but unfortunately that is not placing on time. So maybe they can ask for the year shipment, or they may ask for the penalty. That's $1 million. So what is supply chain is ensuring? Maybe supply chain ensuring based on the safety stock, based on the lead time, they are ensuring the product on time delivery. Supply chain can improve financial performance as well in the organization. Like what we say in the current challenging business world, selling your product, you can increase your market share. But to ensure profitability with sustainable growth, you need to focus on your supply chain, because supply chain manager can control and reduce supply chain cost to increase the bottom line profit. One example I can take, like if a Square wants their Radhani spice, which they sell around million pieces every year, they plan to do some innovation onto their packaging or product, and they say that okay, we need to increase our profitability by 2%, 3%. How we can do it? We can do by doing some product innovation or re-engineering the production process. And at the end, if they can manage to do so, suppose per units they can save two taka cost reduction, that can consider as innovation, and that can lead to reducing the overall supply chain cost and giving the company as a profit. So this is a kind of example which is giving the supply chain importance from the financial perspective. Also, like supply chain can optimize that fixed asset investment. I can give in one example. is just an example. If I consider that, we know that Shopno is a retail chain in Bangladesh, one of the largest retail chain. Assuming that they support 20 million population in Dhaka city with 100 store, assuming. But if Mina Bazaar wants that I want to capture same customer, but not expanding my store focus more than 70. So what they need to do, they need to maybe redesign their network based on the population density and the convenience. But they need to do some this kind of mechanism to ensure that they can avoid cost for running additional 30 costs. So this is also a part that optimizing fixed assets through supply chain analysis, location planning, layout planning can be done. And so that's the way basically they can increase overall supply chain financial performance, and they can contribute to. Supply chain has a bigger role in the society. I can say that uh, to ensure the sustenance of human life. Human life depends on the supply chain to deliver basic needs necessaries such as food, water, safety. Any breakdown of these delivery pipelines quickly threatens human life. Like we can say that, think about the government initiative during any natural disaster situation, supporting with commodity. You see that the cyclone Yash is coming. May Allah protect us. Um, if Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, yes. Now we can hear you.
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Sorry, the connectivity here. I'm not sure whether it is for the wind blowing too high today here. So where I was, so we were talking about that how supply chain. Can you see my PPT screen, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So we're
Yes, sir.
talking about that how supply chain can help in the societal role. So I was talking about the cyclone Yash, which is coming. So if this pass through Bangladesh, especially in the coastal part, so this will be a complete disaster. And how government is taking the preparation, they are doing some disaster management. Actually, it's not only disaster management. This is the preparation of the crisis, through the managing the supply chain, and if any kind of issues comes that support that potential affected people from that can only be supported by this if we can manage a better way through the supply chain management. On the other end, we can say that no control over commodity price or supply during any special event like Ramadan, Eid, uh, which is a case of supply chain failure. So also, like if I consider like supply chain contribution in improving human healthcare, how supply chain helping, this is a recent example I can share. The pandemic is the greatest example. We can say that how emergency situation, supply chain performing to make a difference between life and death. So why we cannot import Pfizer vaccine? Because our cold storage supply chain is not strong like the first world country. So this is one reason. In any other way, even if we say that there are so many drugs, life-saving drugs, that could be their supply chain is so difficult. If any organization or pharmaceutical organization, if they cannot ensure this, like in maintaining the cold storage, that's a problem. Even there are many raw material or vaccination or active ingredients to produce supply chain pharmaceuticals product. We need to ensure supply chain in proper way. So that is what supply chain is contributing in human healthcare as well. Um, Supply chain also a fine balance of I can say that the technical acumen blended with the business sense. This is a different perspective. I can say that if I consider that product innovation and adding value to the product through the product innovation, that will provide an insight in the overall business and its various aspects. I can take one example. Think about there was an incident happened with Samsung. So if I may compare this case as I take Samsung versus Apple mobile companies. So their competitiveness today not only on the technical innovation, it is directly dependent on the supply chain that costs more, global sourcing parts, arranging raw materials like parts, batteries, and how they're investing on the R&D and the service to the delivery. What happened in Samsung, especially it was Note 8, the failed, it was a failed project because of the battery issues, and the sourcing of battery was a complete disaster. So that was even Samsung said that that is the attribute of the failure of supply chain, and that pushed back Samsung by several years in the competition. So and the lastly, I can say about supply chain importance, that how supply chain is contributing to the business marketing industry. You can see example of the RMG sector in Bangladesh. Last 4 decades, how far we have been developing and where we are trending now in terms of innovation, in terms of managing better supply chain. That could be a great example in supply chain. I'll share a bit about um, various careers path in supply chain from my experience. So, excuse me. To my experience, supply chain is a function or discipline that has probably the most career paths. How? Supply chain also spans every industry: manufacturing, distribution, retail, wholesale, even automotive, etc. Uh, Let me share my example. When I started working in ACI. We were under the commercial department, and which used to support 14 different SBU or strategic business unit. The supply chain like ACI Consumer Foods, so which produce chocolates, spices, chanachur, and we used to support consumer brand like ACI Aerosol, Coil, hand wash. We had ACI Agribusiness, Motors, ACI Pharmaceuticals, and also the sister concern company like Shopno Retail. So each and every is business unit, the supply chain is totally different. Maybe you'll find it 50 to 50% similarity, but there are some differentiation factor from each individual SBU, and the scope of work is also different from business to business. So there seems to be confusion from the service perspective that when it comes to the term supply chain in service industry, many people picture not in service industry. Basically, when we call this say about the term supply chain, many people picture as like this: that tractor, trailer, large container, huge warehouse, etc. But how about the service industry? What many do not realize is that supply chain is not only for the tangible products, but also for service offered. What Amazon, Alibaba, or Walmart trades their product worldwide, while I can say that Kakoli beauty parlor context. So one is global context, they are providing service, and another is the local context, they are providing the service, and they are not manufacturer. So they provide service to the customer. Same way, some third-party logistic, I can name like DHL, UPS, and also that four-party logistics company like Accenture or Deloitte, even Amazon. Amazon is being considered as a fourth-party logistic. They owning and managing the entire supply chain, but they are not manufacturer. They provide service to their customer. So even we can say that consulting firm, supply chain consultancy, supply chain technology provider, different supply chain associations, these all are service provider. If we say about that banking, how banking supply chain in banking runs, in banking industries, the skills for planning, sourcing and managing, process design, information flow management, and the cash management. Everything is related to how you better manage your supply chain in banking sector. And from functional point of view, I would say that given the tremendous scope of what supply chain is to follow, the number of job basically is very diverse. How it is in terms of functionality, I think I have by now I have mentioned a couple of functions that me personally experience, like strategic procurement, supply demand and supply planning, logistics management, inventory control, even packaging, design, supplier management, capacity management, supply chain process improvement, like the lean manufacturing and just in time, supply process mapping. These are different supply chain function, and many more. So from my viewpoint, a great feature of supply chain career is that there are so many options and directions that as your goal changes, even within the supply chain, you can easily change um, functional responsibility in different era of supply chain. And I had the same experience. Like when I started my career in supply chain, I used to look after planning and procurement. Then I felt that I find more interest in planning part, demand and supply chain, that I specifically focus on the demand and supply and forecasting part. That is what I'm currently doing now also. Um, I'll go to the next slide. This is actually my preference, why we should consider supply chain as a preferred career choice. So uh, are you seeing the screen?
Yes, yes, we can see the
Yes,
screen.
sir, we can.
Okay. Actually, this is the first time I have connected in Zoom through browser. So my experience today is my lifetime worst experience. I'm extremely sorry for the experience that I'm having here. Um, so what I was telling about the supply chain preference as a career. So it doesn't matter actually whether you are a supply chain professional or marketing professional. What I feel like as the first thing to start a career is to have the keenness and quickness to understand and dealing with business situation. So, but however, one of the best thing I like about supply chain that you can go is from the strategic to operational and very quickly. How? Like in my job, maybe in the morning time, for example, I'm talking with supply chain strategy with my leadership, how we are keeping supply chain performance improvement in next 3, 4, 5 years as aspiration. And within a few hours, all of a sudden, my supplier called me, "Hi, Mahmud, we have a shipment delay issues. Please do consider delay." And with this exception, I need to start running after solving the problem. So you see, I have gone through a strategic at the beginning of the day, and to the operational, changing my mindset within a few hours. But how I am doing this, because I have a business acumen on what I'm doing here. So you have to have a better business acumen to run this show. Um, so and the supply chain is giving this kind of opportunity to based on to consider this as the extreme dynamics of the business acumen. The second part is like the communication, both written and oral. So what I believe, the great supply chain professional requires proficiency both in written and oral communication, as you need to deal with multiple stakeholders locally and globally, also like supplier and abroad, and also you need to deal with the leadership from different discipline, etc. So supply chain manager should be capable on influence and better negotiation. So that is a very interesting part. Um, I personally find it very interesting because uh, what my current job role is, I deal with 8 different country supply chain and sourcing contract. starting from Asia to Europe. So I need to deal with lots of different country people, though the language is common pretty, the English language, but the dynamism of the communication is totally different from what I communicate to my local people with the other origin. So that is what I really enjoy about supply chain. Even if you consider as a local associate for any local organization, it doesn't mean that you need to deal with the multi-dimensional origin or other cultural people. You have a supplier from China, you have a supplier from Europe. You need to deal with that kind of country people also. The third part is customer centricity. It is an approach, what I think that approach to doing business that focus on providing a positive customer experience. I was telling about that customer changing mindset. So in order to drive profit and gain competitiveness, customer-centric approach should be focused for any business. And as a supply chain professional, I find this is very interesting because you need to continuously develop a variety of effective ways, dynamic ways to deal with the service challenges like quality, attribute, service variance, etc. So as a supply chain professional, you need to always keep your mindset open and bring better collaboration, synergy, and creative thinking and innovation in mind. Ultimately, to better manage upstream supplier and downstream customer, supply chain professional has to demonstrate the ability to work not only as a perspective of ensuring quality or better attribute. Also you need to go through a collaborative approach to ensure better synergy, and that could bring to a better focus on bringing something innovative into the table. So this thing you can find only in supply chain by working and by doing, learning by doing and through a collaborative approach. Well, in my job experience, especially in Walmart, what I have learned from ethical behavior perspective, uh, supply chain professionals draw on their ability to act with honesty, integrity, and credibility. Why I'm saying that, uh, if as a business, like 80 to 90% cost, as I mentioned beginning of the slide, that tied up with the supply chain. And it is very common that supply chain team always under microscopic focus of the management as they deal with the final money. So every day in my job, I hear and learn about act with integrity, and that is what helping me even in my personal life, that how to act with integrity, how to deal the people, how to talk to, how to give respect for individual, how to think about that conflict of interest, everything. So this is what I have learned from my supply chain journey. And also you can also understand how unethical practice happen in any project or any business only if you work in supply chain. I can say about my interest, my preference on how adaptability is related to supply chain as a preferred choice. Um, Adaptability means something uh, that is able to quickly respond to any changing trends, innovations, and so forth. So the ability to adjust or shift makes an employee, and that is very important because most industries today are in some state of flux. So as a supply chain professionals, we need to work effectively with the new information, technologies, evolving business model, fluctuating economic and geopolitical environment. I think many of you know that um, uh, this is a very much political things, but I can say about that how that vaccine arrangement is doing. So different many countries, they are managing a diplomatic relationship in a different way. They're managing their supply chain in a different way so that they can ensure their product for their citizens. So this is actually how you better supply chain. So working supply chain, you can basically think about moving like this way. Also supply chain can give you that kind of opportunity to move to different function within the organization. Like if today morning I'm working with the sales team to understand their demand about how much sale they can do, evening I can work with the production team, I can work with the finance team, I need to work with the technology team. As a supply chain manager, sometimes I need to get involved with manufacturing, like managing the capacity, managing the planning, how the breakdown of my product will be done, how we can manage the facilities, etc. Also, from other perspective, as a supply chain manager, when I'm developing some ERP system in my work process, I need to get involved with the technology team. But I should have that kind of ERP basic knowledge, that okay, from end to end, what kind of plan I should do to inbuild the ERP system in my supply chain function. And also sometimes I need to involve with commercial team, commercial team subject matter expert for importing the raw material, to manage how they're managing the bond, how managing their customs. And sometimes due to the government regulation and rules, many regulations change frequently or all of a sudden. So we need to be adaptable on managing these things to avoid any kind of supply chain risks. um, so last 2 point on the in this thing, one is digital dexterity. This is a very important, and I feel that from that perspective, it is a state where an organization employees are independent and should be able to agile, adapt, and effective to embrace any kind of existing or emerging technology for better business outcomes. And my experience said, whatever change in technology I have experienced in supply chain, I never seen such kind of technological change in any other. And that is what helping me to learn every day on the new technology. So in the later slide, I will discuss something about that, the importance of technology in supply chain. And the last point about the leadership in supply chain, how this is helping me in my journey in supply chain as a professional. So supply chain leadership roles have evolved like over the past years. uh, Today it is more than having just not like the practical knowledge, but to be able to process a situation as we are passing through a difficult situation every day, every time is situation changing, whether it is from local perspective, whether it is a global perspective. But as a leader, or as a supply chain manager, or as a new someone who is considering his career as a supply chain professional, we need to think about how can we bring flexibility in our area, how can we increase visibility, how we can mitigate the risks, or technological innovation, or ever growing expectation from customer, or any kind of change. These kind of things can be managed through good leadership. In my first 8 points of this slide, I have covered many aspects of leadership. So even which can be built from now on, like planning and organization, collaboration, empathy, flexibility, even managing the conflict, negotiation, problem solving. That's all a leadership quality you should be adhere, or you should be develop from the beginning of your career. And this is actually interesting part, that when you are working in supply chain, you have to develop your leadership quality at the same, giving the same importance. um, uh, I'll be a bit first, as almost 10-15 minutes was wasted beginning of the slide because of the technical difficulties. So this slide, basically I'll be covering some technical aspects of competencies that a supply chain professional should adopt. So the first is that operation planning and control. So what it is, like uh, from that perspective, like operation planning and control covers demand planning, which involves process of forecasting, like predicting demand for products to ensure they can be delivered to satisfied customer. Like one example, like I used to work with, forecast was for that company, forecast was driven by sales team, and there were no voice of supply chain to validate the forecast. So what happened in like during the sales and operation meeting, the marketing director told that for a particular high moving item, this told us that we can sell 300,000 units per month for a particular product, and if supply chain can ensure product on time. We checked the historical sales and found that even during the peak time, they could not make it happen more than 200,000 units. So, but as the director of marketing and sales, he improvised the CEO, we had to accept those and we had to work to fulfill that demand. But ultimately, what happened, like 3 consecutive months, we experienced the sales was performing less than 200,000 and ended up with higher inventory and as well as holding costs. So it's a lack of organizational competency to think about that how demand forecasting or forecasting can help in organization to optimize that cost. So this kind of competency, supply chain, not as an individual, also organization should have that kind of competency. Then it comes as a process optimization. How process optimization is like the continuous improvement of business performance across supply chain, whether it is supply planning, whether it is procurement strategy, whether it is the demand fulfillment. So from that process when we say that process optimization, it is like something that we are improving gradually. That is one theory. It is called Kaizen law. Gradually to improve. So there are lots of improvement technique we follow through in supply chain, like Six Sigma, just in time, or value stream mapping. This kind of things are used in supply chain. And lastly, in operation planning and control, that's that how to best fulfill the requirement. Suppose we know the market demand of a product and we have sufficient raw material to fulfill that demand, and but the problem is we do not have production capacity to ensure what is expecting. So as a supply chain manager, what we need to ensure as a supply planner, that we need to plan such a way that could ensure 100% supply of the product. So maybe I can use the off-season time when the demand is less, but maybe I know that we have a demand in after 2 months. So during the off-season time, I can produce some extra as a buffer, so that during the peak time, I can optimize that for total capacity and fulfill 100% of the product. So this is what the supply chain does. And this kind of competency or supply chain, as a supply chain manager, we need to adapt. And from the very beginning of my career, we develop our skill on this part. From the procurement strategy and execution, am I going too fast, Satsar?
No, that's okay. I mean, take your time. No problem.
Okay.
Continue, please.
So going to the next, like procurement strategy and execution. So that's basically covered the cost management. So which is the process of analyzing the total cost, direct and indirect cost. Even if I say about the single pen, so this pen production has a cost. So associated with raw material, manufacturing cost, overhead cost, everything. So and it's the life cycle cost as well. So we need to analyze that product life cycle cost, everything here. And from the procurement strategy perspective, this how we can measure the performance of this cost, uh, deal with how likely we manage the cost in efficiency level or effectiveness level, and also managing it through people and process level that can help to better manage that procurement strategy. Procurement strategy also deal with the supplier relationship and development, and that has three aspects basically what I know. One is when you're managing a supplier, we call it some strategic supplier, some transactional supplier, some emerging supplier. So strategic supplier directly related with organization strategy. Like if I have a strategic supplier, they should work such a way, or we need to their company goal and mission should be same like what our goal and strategy. So as we grow, they will also grow. So that's the way we work with the strategic supplier. There are a significant number of transitional supplier we deal with. So these are the actually strategic procurement strategy and the execution that we need to bring into our practice, into day-to-day supply chain professions, and that kind of competency we need to develop. From transportation and distribution competency focus perspective, we focus on like fleet management, we which involves end-to-end process of managing internal external transport fleet, like selection of different kind of vehicle locally or internationally, and also we do manage reverse logistics. Reverse logistics refers to the management like of the movement involving return of the products. Like if you order something online or even offline from the store, and if you find any defective product, you go to your store and you return those product, and it fall under that policy. Then you need to work as a supply chain manager to ensure that your products of the product that manufacturing going back to the manufacturer or distributor or forwarding it on for servicing or refurbishing or recycling. So this is actually totally chain process. From the local perspective, this is not a complex, but if we consider reverse logistics from global supply chain perspective, tons of activities involved associated with this part. And so this is what the transportation and distribution competency we focus basically on. And the last is the warehouse and facilities management. So this covers a lot of things when we say about warehousing and facilities management competency, that cover like facilities location, facilities design, inventory management, materials management, etc. So facilities location planning is like this. If I take one example, if you can recall that Hajaribagh Tannery. So this has been shipped from Hajaribagh to Savar. Like so, because the factory, the area were not well managed because of the environmental pollution, and it was nearby to the locality, so no proper waste management system was there. And later on, as per the government initiative, it has moved to the new location. So this is a kind of location planning they made there, so that the locality is not impacted and proper planning has been implemented there. So this is also part of supply chain managing the location planning. Facilities design, um, uh, like um, this is also part. I know one company, I can share that one company who has started its retail operation massively few years back. Uh, and within 1 year of launching the retail store, um, they found that 60% of their location was wrongly placed. So they had to close down those stores, and they had to redesign their location, and that was cost $1 million for them. So basically, as a supply chain manager, you should have that kind of competence in build, that for the location planning. And also from the inventory management and optimization perspective and material management, which focus on ensuring that product that are handled throughout the supply chain are handled with safe and productive manner to avoid any kind of product damages. So this is about all the technical competency as a supply chain professionals I think we should adopt in our career, whether we are the starting of our career or we are thinking about develop our career in supply chain. There are lots of things. I just took some example here. Um, uh, Once you roll out your life in career in supply chain, you will get to know more about. Coming to the last slide. So basically, this is one of the slide is I feel that's very interesting, and I'm sure that interesting for you as well, because this will cover about how we can build our skill set that lands the job. So people who want to launch their careers in supply chain management, basically they can choose from a rich array of academic programs at all levels of study, drilling down on courses in logistics, operations management, procurement, total quality management, etc. And that actually university offer, and I don't need to say anything about that part. University and there's the mastery of your basic that university will take care. And university has their own curriculum design to develop those mastery of individual. However, what I'm more interested, which I think we missed during our time, is that skill based course, especially offered in online or offline. And I do believe that this will definitely help to develop any potential future supply chain professional to develop both the hard skill and soft skill. I have covered few competency in my previous slide, that communication, the innovation, thinking. So many of these things you can invest your time from now on. It is not like that you study your major in supply chain and you finish your degrees, and before entering the job you can invest your time there. No, not like that. I'm sure apart from your university education or curriculum based study, you have time to invest, and that what you can invest on. There are lots of learning portal available globally, like Coursera, Udemy, LinkedIn Learning, and they offer comprehensive course for the student and the professionals to get ready themselves for the job. So the trainers and academia for those courses are business consultant, university academia, etc. And they do offer some of the university affiliated course as well. Like, I can take some example. Like, if you can do if you want to do invest your time, you invest on yourself on developing your public speaking or communication skill, you can do some courses there. If you want to learn about that business and office etiquette, how to start your job, how to cope up with the new environment in the job, so this kind of thing you can learn from there. If you think about how I can take decision, um, uh, on like the critical thinking, design thinking, and like one of the thing that we face here nowadays, that is the change management. So this kind of is a very basic, even in the amateur, intermediate, or detail level course you'll find there to know about. Also, if you want to develop your skill on like the data presentation skills, uh, like by doing course like Microsoft Office Excel, PowerPoint, W, Power BI, these are very necessary. Even if I said that from supply chain perspective in our industry, this is more relevant, because in supply chain we deal with number, we deal with value, we deal with analytics, we deal with statistics. So if you want to talk about someone, you have to talk through the number, and you have to present through your analysis, you have to present your data through analysis. So these are the very important things you need to invest on, and for this you do not need to have any prerequisites, or you do not need to have any educational background, or like you need to do some finance course or something, not like that. These are the very basic thing you can invest from now on. The next part is knowing the technology trend. So this is actually a bit very critical. I must say that with the advancement of the digital technology, imagine that how supply chain will look like in future. Technology like IoT, or Internet of Things, we say, artificial intelligence, blockchain, predictive analytics, 3D printing, or autonomous vehicles, or robotics, we call drones. These are many things which are providing the foundational elements to make the revolutionary change in supply chain. From my experience, um, traveling to different part of the world, I visited many many supply chain industry in USA, in China as well. I've traveled some of the factories who use robotics technologies, who use different kind of drone system, even in China, to deliver their product as a prototype. They are doing it. So you can say that this kind of skill, maybe you do not need to develop your coding skill or Java skill, not like that. Maybe you can get to know by learning, investing on your time, knowing about that what is machine learning basic is all about, what is blockchain is all about, how blockchain is working. Like I can take an example. Like we all know blockchain in the different retail industry, they are trying to implement blockchain. So how blockchain work? Blockchain is like you are managing your total supply chain through blockchain. From end to end visibility, you are ensuring the blockchain. Like if you are a retailer of mango, you sell mango. If your customer want to know that from where this mango is coming, by reading, it's not only RFID, by reading this code, they can get to know that this mango is coming from this country, from this supplier. So that will blockchain will helping to get to know that this kind of visibility is creating. You just imagine that, like used to work in purchasing department. So all the tasks we used to do through the manual. Now what I can see that all our purchase order activity will be managed electronically, and I do not need to phone to my supplier or any carrier or any freight forwarder to find out to track my goods. I can look on any screen or my tab, my laptop, and I can see that where my goods is and how why I need to reach to my destination. So, and same way, advanced robotics can be implemented within the both manufacturing facilities and the distribution. To movement can be monitored, managed, and adjusted from the control system. So all these capabilities will result in migration of supply chain activities from manual transaction tasks to be more strategic, higher level tasks. So why I'm saying this, by means that the skills held by supply chain professional will have to advance as technology base. And to develop those skills, you do not need to any experience or prerequisites. I would request to invest your time learning out about this skill. And there are lots of articles, course offering through this edtech platform. Lastly, for the students who are in second year or third year or fourth year in the university, it's not only supply chain. I request to everyone, and even me personally never did this thing when I was in university, but I feel that this is a good practice. Start networking early with the professionals. There are lots of like the best way to learn about type of work you would be good or you will enjoy, you feel like, whether it is supply chain or it is HR, by doing networking with the professional. I suggest that you begin building your supply chain network early in university. It easier now than ever before to make connection with the supply chain professional, and your goal should be connect with a broad group of the supply chain professional across numerous industries from companies. It's not only big company, also you can learn from the small company as well. From my career lifetime, I started my job in local organization, and I feel like that I was privileged that I have not started my career in big multinational organization, because big multinational organizations are so structured that you don't have the scope to learn what you want. You will be focused on a specific part. But if you plan to start your career, start from some um, local organization where you can find the best option to work, invest your time on different area of supply chain. um, this is basically, and this is my famous quote. I always say that the best way to live life to the fullest is to always look for ways that help us improve as a person every day. My 16 years of job life but what I feel like, uh, I invest, like, apart from my 9 to 6 job, I also invest at least 3 to 4 hours every day on self-learning study. And because what I feel, that I just mentioned in my earlier slide, previous slide, that if you invest time on learning new thing, your competency will be developed, your competency will be developed, and that will help you to create your next 3 5 years career aspiration. So that's all basically my presentation. Such, sir.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. Let me just reclaim the host, and I can still put you on the spotlight. Okay. First of all, thank you very much, Mr. Mahmud Sagir. It was a very, very interesting presentation where you talked about your career, and you have shared what kind of work goes on for a supply chain professional. And I'm sure our students, who are young students, who would enjoy and would have learned from listening from you. Let me share that a lot of the functional areas you talked about, like sourcing, logistics, inventory, we are going to teach in here at AIUIU, because we have started a new major in supply chain management, also minor. So again, thank you very much. Now I'll just take some questions. If you have any questions, can you please ask in the chat box for our guest? Do we have any question?
No, sir.
Well, an inquisitive mind always has questions, right? It's not a good. So we always have questions. Don't worry. You can ask if any career related question you want to ask. You can just drop it in the chat box. Or in the meantime, let me ask a
Either,
question. Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
either everybody has well covered, my slide has well covered, or people didn't understand anything. Actually,
No, no. I
honestly
think people.
speaking, I was a bit I was not very much confident about when I found that that my technological difficulty I was having here in the Zoom. The way I wanted to start it, like I couldn't show that video, and there were something that I wanted to show. Basically, it was not the way I wanted to start to this presentation. So I'm sorry for that.
No, no.
Anyway, we can.
I think you covered a lot of interesting issues, I'm sure. Let me ask you a question, Mr. Sagir. So, for say a young graduate, you already mentioned that they should look for a local company. But even for a local company or a MNC, what kind of soft skills do you think you suggest our students should acquire?
So I will take this in a two-way, soft skill, in a form of, like, the first thing is the communication. And what I feel like, the communication is a big part in nowadays, whether you work in local organization or international multinational organization. So even many students is coming from Bangla medium, doesn't matter. So we have a common tendency that I'm a professional from Bangla medium, so I may not be cope up with the multinational organization, or for dealing with the foreigners. It's a totally not right. Like, even local, I'm from the Bangla medium, so somehow I have been managing it very well. So what I have been investing on, like, to develop my public speaking. I get associated with some of the public speaking courses, as well as I did I'm a member of Toastmaster community, which helped me to learn about public speaking, how to talk is in front of big audience, impromptu speaking, speaking such kind of things. This is one part, and also as I mentioned that some of the few things about soft skill, but in a different way, like presentation skill related to data. So Microsoft Excel, Tableau, Power BI, this kind of skill we should, especially Excel. It is very important nowadays. Even in my organization, if I recruit anyone as a freshers, definitely freshers mean no experience, but definitely I'll see in the CV whether how much skill he has invested his time on Microsoft Excel, what kind of expertise he has on working on the Microsoft Excel. It is not like the doing sum, subtract, not like that. You need to have that advanced level of Excel skill. So this kind of skill set you need to adopt. And also some kind of skill, like I would say maybe so they can learn about negotiation skill. They can learn about what is critical thinking is about, emotional intelligence, because I have seen especially those who are that millennium generation, so they are very much emotional, and managing the expectation from that group to some extent we find it very difficult. So managing expectation is very challenging. So that is what we are focusing on, that emotional intelligence from the very beginning of the each and every single associate. So they can invest their time on learning about what is emotional intelligence and how it works.
All right, thank you very much. We had similar questions from Sanjida and also Nusrat, but Sanjida had an additional question. I'll just put it through. She's asking that in an interview, job interview, what are some points that instantly eliminate a candidate from the shortlist? So she's asking a reverse question, so to speak.
Very interesting question. So um, so basically from my experience, I have taken a lot of interview, especially I would consider this as a freshers or like very initial 1 to 2 years experience position. It's not like that elimination. It will like that if I find that 2 or 3 or 4 out of 10, I'll consider that whom should I consider for the next level position. So from that count, the person who will be focusing more on like see we can understand from if anyone says something about that I do this one very good, or I can do this one very good, we don't think about like this. We say about that what is my achievement, even in my university life, what I did as an achievement, that kind of thing we do consider. If I say that I'm good at this thing, so it is not possible to check that time. So this is I consider as a negative point. But whatever you are writing in your CV, you have to confirm that you are sure that you can do it. So if you not sure about that you can do that part, you should not cover in these two things happen. So even for the freshers, this is advice.
Okay, thank you. We have another question from Sifat. Sifat is asking basically, as you mentioned that you have worked both in ACI and now you're working in Walmart. So she's asking what are the main differences in terms of working in supply chain management um, and maintaining logistics support systems.
Okay, very interesting question. So this ACI is a local business conglomerate, and Walmart is a multinational organization. So this is the first two difference. So in Walmart, we work for as a globally. We work with to support our retail, and for ACI, we arrange material or import material, raw material to support our local customers. So from that perspective, also the supply chain is totally different. These two. So my working experience with ACI, as I mentioned here, I consider as why I always prefer to work with a local organization broadly, because in ACI I have got tremendous option to nurture myself, to know about what is supply chain is all about. I got the opportunity to work in procurement. I got the opportunity to work in supply, in logistics, in demand planning, in customs clearance, forwarding, everything. So as being a local organization, we have that kind of option to rotate these things. But multinational organization, basically, this the opportunity is very specific. Like I have been working in demand planning team last 10 years, and I'm still doing on this. And if I want to avail the opportunity to work in the procurement or sourcing part, that is a very limited option. So that is why I, as a beginner in my career, I prefer to have someone to start their career in the organization where he can get the better exposure to know a lot of things. And for the newcomer, is from my experience, I have seen that many many freshers always have the mindset that, okay, I'll go to this multinational company in customer care or any department, not thinking like how can I develop my future from that one onward. So they think about the branding, not about that what job role profile he will be holding. That is an actually, that should not be the plan. Whenever you are planning to enter in any organization, you need to check the job description, that what my role profile will be. That will help you to like move forward your career more faster than anyone.
All right, thank you. We have two more questions and that would be it. So I'll just request Mr. Sagir to quickly answer them if possible. The next question is from Fahim. Fahim is asking, how do you predict inventory requirements before festivals such as Christmas or Eid?
Okay, so from this is absolutely an operational question, but I would love to answer. So basically, what we do for the product that we sell. Suppose if we want to plan a denim pant, so our merchant team in the Canada or USA, they do plan that what kind of how many units they feel that can be a good number to sell. So we have a merchandising planning team. They consider the shelf itself, that okay, fine, for this particular season or Christmas period, I think that 300,000 units is enough to sell. So accordingly, that plan given like 4 to 5 months, considering the import supply chain lead time. Because if I say that December is my Christmas, so I have to start planning at least 4 to 5 months ahead of time. So consider the import lead time. Like I'm sending product from Bangladesh, Cambodia, Vietnam, and it is going to USA. So for that particular product, I have to consider about the raw material also, that raw material lead time also. So this is a long process, but I have to be predictive enough based on the analysis of the situation, based on the historical sense of the similar product that sold last season. So we do a forecasted number. So accordingly, based on that forecast number, we plan our demand accordingly.
All right, thank you. Okay, one more question. I think this is an interesting question. For a graduate or a fresher, how important is experience to get a supply chain related job?
It depends on what the employer look for. So your question is like how freshers can get job, right?
Right.
Okay. So if in many organization, they look for employee as a fresh, but as I mentioned that fresh doesn't mean that you have to be, you do not have any skill. Your skill, we will look into the skill, that how much you have invested on Microsoft Excel, PowerPoint, or anything that related to data representations. So what the managers of any department do is like, suppose I have a budget plan, so I don't have time to do many more things on that data. So what I will ask to my new joiner, that okay, these are the data, prepare a presentation. So that can be done with any freshers. So he just do the data analysis through Excel and doing something presentation from the PowerPoint, even Power BI. So if you can have that kind of skill, which doesn't require any prerequisite or job skill, putting anything that we will accept freshers as employment, it's okay. But yes, many organizations, they require like 2 to 3 years experience. So even for the fresher as well. So that is a different ball game.
All right. So anyway, last question. This is, I think this is asked by Alfie. Alfie is asking, he's a marketing student, I guess. And since he's studying marketing, can he get a supply chain job?
Well, what I have shared my career, it is absolutely reflect the same way. I have started my job in career in sales and marketing, and but the thing is, like, I felt that supply chain has a scope to work more. So I started to do my MBA in operations supply chain. So this is the first thing that I developed some of my competency, uh, learning about some skill set on theoretical aspect. Also, what I did during that time, I was trying to relate my job experience with the supply chain people that I used to work with. I used to work with talk with the capacity planner, the import procurement manager, how they work, to know the work process. And when I set for my first interview in the ACI, I was transparent enough to share that I don't have practical experience in supply chain, but I have seen that this is the supply chain, how I know that it works. So that's the way I started my career in supply chain.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Sagir. You see, there were a lot of questions. So I'm
Yeah,
sure there'll be many more
let's.
if we had time, but unfortunately, we have run out of time. I would like to take this moment to please call upon our Honorable Director for the BBA program here at UIU, Dr. Muhammad Badruddin sir. Sir, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Sir, can you please deliver a vote of thanks?
Thank you so much. And I would like to thank Mr. Mahmud Sagir for his nice presentation about about an overview of supply chain and the process of supply chain and the skill needed for getting a job in supply chain. It is a new career path, actually. It is a emerging career field for the students in business. So thank you so much for your nice presentation and answering the question to the students. And we are proud of you because you are as Bangladeshi people, you are working in a big multinational company like Walmart. So thank you so much for coming here and giving your time to the students and other participants. And thanks all the participants for joining here and learning about the career path and the skills on supply chain. Thank you so much. And at the end of this discussion, I would like to thank Dr. Saad Hasan because he has arranged all the. Thank you so much, Saad, for arranging such a nice discussion for the students and other participants. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure, sir.
Thank
It's
you
a
very
pleasure,
much.
sir. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Thanks to the students. Thank you, sir. Thank you to Mr. Mahmud Sagir. And I hope this is a start because I believe supply chain is very much, if you are teaching supply chain, it's a very industry focused domain. And we can look forward to help from Mr. Mahmud Sagir again in the future.
Sure.
It's my pleasure. Anytime I can be your assistance.
Thank you very much. Again, thank you very much and good day. Assalamu alaikum. Allah Hafiz.
Assalamu alaikum. Allah Hafiz.